I'm on my own piece at undisclosed location. Yeah, it's kind of nosy. So we're going to talk about that. And, we're putting together our new online course. And it's going to be about property ownership and legal control of that property. And so, obviously the goal of this online course / business package that I'm putting together is to get, and this is the goal of all of your stuff, all of my stuff or your stuff. When the goal is to get your stuff delivered to you as mandated by the property transfer statutes. Your state property transfer statutes mandate that your shit's supposed to be delivered. Oh yeah, like the else, my other grandbaby came down, Jocelyn. Thanks, Joshy. We hung out together and we got our nails done. So. And we're going to talk about that. And a couple of things that are important to remember, this is like introduction 101 into my program, is that you have to change your mindset here. If you want to get in this program, you have to change your mindset and ditch the fear. And most of it. A large portion, because here's the thing. That fear is based on what was going on over there when you was getting your ass kicked. You're not going to have that problem here if you do what you're supposed to be doing. It's kind of windy. And so you need to keep that in mind. So your fear is based off what happened to you before over there. And so if you just got in this program, then your fear should be controlled by the fact. And facts are starting at the gate. You're not doing the same thing. And you know who to bring to the table or whatever. So at some point, it should get to, damn, I'm having fun. Yeah, and I'm hoping that I have my review video before that. I'd like to have that review video after you get done reading the document that you're going to file first and understand the power that you have in the package. So changing the mindset is the biggest thing when you get in my program. People think that they need to run around and do all of this stuff and that those are things you do in a conventional system that was structured for you by them while they kick your ass. So I'm just saying. We don't do those things. First document that you get filed in whatever the situation is that you figure needs to get done after watching the original instruction video and updated instruction video, the first document is going to be a problem for them. So that's kind of how you got to look at that. The Federal Rules of Civil Procedure mandate that you don't have to answer to their shit if you have defenses. Yeah, we're coming to the table. We're coming to the table with offense. All right, we ain't talking about no defense. If you do this right and you do what we say in Washington, you're never going to have to answer to them because they're not going to be able to answer to you. And I'm just, Yeah, this is my kid's bell dad who won last year at the Guns and Hoses charity event. He's in law enforcement. They raise money for people who get hurt and end up paying the ultimate sacrifice. Yeah, but I get that he's boxing in a couple of days, so we're gonna have 2 belts, and I don't think I can have another one. So my wife's gonna have to. Mom's gonna get something. We'll figure something out. But yeah, you don't ever have to answer to them if you do your shit right in my program. Okay, because that's not how we roll here. Now, one of the other things I want to talk about real quick that's like a lot of value how to correct your plea. And we don't follow an amendment. That's what they have for you to do in their system. If you go and you study the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure for amending a pleading or a complaint, if you scroll down to the bottom of that, all the way down by that little tiny ass number, you'll see something called supplemental pleading. Supplemental pleading you can use to as long as you meet a couple of requirements. Well, there's 3, but I'm only going to tell you 2 because your ass need to go check for the last one. The first requirement is that you have to add a party or account, which is kind of the same, and it has to be connected to the original reason why you're there. And there's one more small, tiny little thing that you'll find when you research supplemental pleading on my YouTube channel, or just go look the shit up yourself on Google. That's pretty much where I found it. Supplemental pleading. So now you can add the magistrate judge who stepped up to dismiss your federal shit without having the consent form signed and go after the magistrate judge for $100 million like Tammy's doing. And it's not even about the original or the second time in that they did all of that. The judge is not going to provide the fact or findings and the conclusions of law. They have to do both, the fact of findings and the conclusions of law. Without that, you have shit for an appeal. You don't. And the reason you don't have that is because they have your ass in administrative hearing. So if you're going to administrative hearing thinking you're in a judicial process where you have rights, in administrative hearing they do whatever the hell they want. So you can decide where you're at. Okay, shit ain't funny. Sorry. So that's you don't have to do an amendment. You can jam their ass up with some. Now I also tell people don't connect my stuff to what you were already doing. And no offense to anybody, but what you're already doing was deficient, or you wouldn't be reaching out for additional firepower. I'm just saying. And if you connect them to what is already deficient, they're only going to talk about the deficiency. Because when you go with the deficiency or you go anything in their conventional program, opens up the door for arguing. And I said I did sports. I just keep it simple. It opens up the door for arguing, and then their buddy judge gets to help them. If you don't do it right. If you do it right, then the corporation that's paying their buddy judge is being sued, and so is their buddy judge, and so are they. So, and their number one job is to protect their buddy judge, and you can't do that. And this is what I tell them after the fact. When you start to beat down, they can't respond. I just email them, dude, You guys know what I need. I need my deed delivered. I need some pink fingernails so I can look cool like Coach Neighbors. And I need to have, you guys remove all of that shit from your computers or whatever. And then I need you to call the credit reporting agency and correct the lies that y'all been telling them. So my credit score will go back up. And then, you got your legal team that need to be confiscated, and then you got the legal team coach. Okay, sorry. I got to carry the wheel on that. So, yeah. So, you guys, when you get in my program, you're going to be adding the state to their own stuff. You're going to be doing that using one or two or three of the punching documents, but not at the same time, because that's a waste of your that's a waste of your power to use them at the same time. You need to wait till they almost recuperate from the first punch before you punch them again. Well, that's just mine. You can do whatever you want, but that's just I like to do. This is the part that I like to enjoy. So I ain't in a hurry for the punching bar. So you can add the state, the judge, and the attorney or prosecutor or whatever to their own shit. If you're not about to go to jail or get pushed off the cliff or kicked out on the street, then you have time to do the counterclaim if you're in a judicial process. If you're in a non-judicial process, then you just need to bring your fire to the table and serve all the parties. If you're in an eviction process, there's a different way that we handle that. So the problem that they have is when you add the state who's paying, the money, the dinero, when you add them to their own stuff and the judge, and they can't represent themselves, they can't litigate a case third party to, they can't represent each other from the either law firm or other corporations, if there's any corporations that's connecting them. So that creates quite a problem for them. That creates quite a problem for them. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about connecting players to their own stuff. So generally, if you're in judicial, then you have time, you can play around if it's at the beginning or any part in there, because they have to answer or whatever, so you can stop it. Okay, so we do a counterclaim in just a straight judicial stopping. Bam. You can do a counterclaim, and when you do a counterclaim, you add the parties as plaintiffs. There's no difference between adding defendants to something. You can add the parties as plaintiffs. They get really pissed off, but that's how we do it. So you can add the judge to it, to their own shit, and do it as counterclaim. Or you can demand for sanctions and use the demand for sanctions as a punching document also. And you can use that document as it's like a mini lawsuit, and this is the one that the demand for a counterclaim you can also file without having to pay without having to pay filing fees. The demand for sanctions is another way that you can jam up their shit even more severe than the counterclaim, and without paying fees, because you don't have to pay. Yep. And then after that, you have the demand to strike, the judge's order. If you invest in the premium packages, now you get a demand to strike, I think, in most of the packages, but the premium package has the new demand to strike because you're striking because the judge is not registered as a foreign agent, as per the Foreign Agent Registration Act of 1937, nor the judge also violated the Administration Procedures Act of 1946, and the judge also violated, there's one more, the Civil Rights Act of 1871. There. Okay. Now, what was all of that, Coach? You're talking crazy. What that is that's how we bring criminal liability to their assets. Those are federal acts. A federal act is a law. It's a federal law that was enacted. So, for instance, the Tucker's Act, that's the main one that we use. I love that one because the Tucker's Act, the Little Tucker's Act, strips the players of their alleged qualified immunity, and it makes it a federal law against a federal law. It makes it a federal law to violate someone's due process right, or arrest them without due cause. And the Tucker's Act, you're demanding to be in the International Court of Claims, which is the only judicial court that there is. These other courts are administrative courts. So you're jammed there. And then, the Civil Rights Act of 1871, that's a federal law that makes it against the law for someone to arrest you without due cause. And the Administrative Procedures Act. Now, the Administrative Procedures Act is not in the same class as the other two. You can't get money for it, but we add it on because they're violating the law, but it's an administrative part. But the problem is the Administrative Procedures Act makes it a federal law for corporations to make rules and policies that are not in line with the Constitution. Bam! So when you bring that stuff on the front end of your lawsuit, instead of starting out the title of your lawsuit, up here you have the administrative part, the names and the defendants and shit, and the case number, whatever, and then down here you have 42 USC. Well, before you get to that 42 USC shit, we got this other stuff that's federal. There's no criminal shit. Everything's federal. So where I'm at, if you're bringing that shit to the table and you win. If they want, then you can. But we're not. We're not sitting around waiting for winning stuff. Okay. The main part of getting this done is making sure that you use the punching documents and you don't run around trying to kiss their ass, because that's not how we do things here. And then. Once you get them jammed up in state court, or soon after, or even before, depending on how nervous you're feeling about it, then you need to get that lawsuit filed in federal court, because that's what's going to control the program. And once you get that lawsuit filed in federal court, you can order the federal court judge you can demand the federal court judge order those assholes to the settlement table. Because if they weren't able to, and they're not going to be able to respond to your state court beatdown, they have no demanding to say anything in federal court. Mm-hmm. And then when the judge disagrees with you, then you can judge, because like I said at the gate, I don't know if you got this, but the judge is not going to provide come on now, fact or findings or conclusions of law, which means that your due process is violated because shit ain't fair. And what they're going after you with is their own stuff to set you up. So that's how we do that. There you go, Darren. You get to take the belt home this week. Yeah, so I'm hoping maybe Darren will make it, be able to attend our live stream this Sunday.
Of Shelby County homes and properties that have been put up for auction over the past 6 years were supposed to help the county recoup millions in back taxes. But an investigation done in collaboration with the University of Memphis Institute for Public Service Reporting shows only a fraction of that money is ever reclaimed. And the entity buying up most of the properties at auction is the same one that put them up for sale in the first place. The Shelby County government. Action News 5 investigator Jessica Jaglois reports.
When Archie Robinson moved into the childhood home he'd inherited from his mother, he also took on her tax debt.
And they told me the taxes were behind, so I said, okay, well, let me try to catch up.
Robinson says his mom owed thousands in property taxes, so he paid what he could to preserve his home and all the memories inside. When the back taxes totaled nearly $5,000, his home was put up for auction.
I think it's unfair, unfortunate.
In Tennessee, a trustee can take possession of someone's property and then sell it to recoup unpaid property taxes in what's called a tax sale. Robinson's home was one of nearly 400 properties that were sold in a Shelby County tax sale in February 2021. Property management company Red Door Memphis purchased Robinson's home and 4 others in that tax sale. Red Door, which states on its website that its mission is to glorify God by providing good housing at a good value, then asked the court to evict Robinson.
Some young lady served me some papers stating that someone had bought the home, and why was I here? And who was I?
While Robinson borrowed money to buy back his property, another home that Red Door purchased in that tax sale was listed for rent on its website for $1,500 a month. Who profits from tax sales?
First and foremost, it is the investors.
Andrew Carl is a professor of history and African American studies at the University of Virginia. He studies inequality in real estate.
There's a lot of evidence to show that tax sales have really become a sort of predatory marketplace for investors.
That may be the case, but we found most properties sold in Shelby County tax sales aren't purchased by investors, but are acquired by Shelby County itself. What does that say to you, the fact that our government is purchasing most of these tax delinquent properties because there simply is no other bidder?
That's showing you that the system's not working.
Our analysis of the more than 8,000 properties sold in tax sales between 2016 and 2022 shows Shelby County came to own more than 5,500 of them, nearly 70%. Shelby County does end up bidding or purchasing most of the properties that go up for tax sale. Why is that?
A lot of these are what you'd call distressed properties. It's either a house that's not in great shape or maybe a vacant lot, and there just aren't enough investors who want to buy all those.
Attorney Jack Turner litigated tax delinquency cases for the Shelby County Trustee's Office until this past spring. He says the county acquires the majority of tax sale properties simply because there are no other bidders.
A lot of investors, I guess, feel there are better investment opportunities outside of a tax sale.
Turner says the goal of a tax sale is to recoup unpaid property taxes, but we found the county recovers barely a fraction of the taxes it's owed. For example, this trustee's report for the August 2020 tax sale suggests there were nearly $7 million in bids. But a separate report shows Shelby County actually recovered less than $800,000 in back taxes for that sale. 40 properties were purchased by individuals, but Shelby County was forced to take over the remaining 200 or so properties. It's important to note that Shelby County doesn't actually spend money purchasing these properties. It assumes ownership of them, moves them to the county land bank, where anyone across the world can buy them online.
And then the land bank tries to sell them as best they can.
However, we found several properties in the land bank that sold for a lot less than the taxes owed. The owner of this lot on Davis Street owed more than $19,000 in property taxes. After it didn't sell in August 2020, a Florida-based company bought the lot 10 months later from the land bank for just $500.
Never, ever puts anybody out on the street.
Turner points out Shelby County doesn't evict, while investors can. Robinson feels lucky to have redeemed his childhood home before the eviction went through. But between interest and fees, he had to pay more than just the taxes he owed.
I feel cheated. I really do.
For the Institute for Public Service Reporting and Action News 5, I'm Jessica Jaglois.
Now, we did reach out to Red Door Memphis for comment, but did not hear back in time for our deadline. The investigators and our partners at the University of Memphis Institute for Public Service Reporting spent months compiling tax sale data. You can find our full report online, including maps, graphics, and pictures at actionnews5.com.
Yeah, we're going to follow that up here a little bit. I can tell you right now that verifies what I've been telling you guys. The government is the one that's going after the properties, and they're doing that by registering the deed in their office. That registration of the deed starts the first. We talked about that. The system, this guy that the interview at the college, at the university gave, he knows a little. But let me tell you something. The system is doing exactly what the system was structured to do. It's doing exactly what it's structured to do. The system is structured to take your shit as soon as you can't pay. And the goal of the tax sale is to assume ownership. But you know what? If you're asking what the goal of the tax sale is, you should throw your shit in the yard, okay? Because you're not at the gate. At the gate, let's start at the gate. At the gate, the goal of the registration of your deed in their office is to take ownership and not assume. They don't assume anything, they take ownership. And then they write you, they make a fake copy of the deed to send you to make you think that the whole tax sale is illegal because the process that lined you up for the tax sale was illegal. And a private property cannot be taxed. It's stated in the Constitution not once but twice that private property is not to be taxed. And the other thing that I'm listening to, the attorney that litigates the tax sales or whatever he said to do. Okay, so he said that the county don't evict people. I ain't so full of shit. Okay, wait a minute. So the judge is the one that rules that the people will be evicted, and the judge is being paid by the county, by the state, by the same players that are taking your property. And let's go further, and the sheriff or the constable or somebody, some law enforcement agency that's paid by the state also shows up to run your ass off of their property and throw your shit in the street. One thing that came out of this investigation is the land bank, the county land bank. Oh, I'm about to look into that. I think we need to be putting the county land bank on. A county land bank. I did not know there was a county land bank. I did not know there was a state association of deed registration of association of deed. I don't know how they put it some kind of way in every state. Yeah, we learn as we go. And they're saying some states in non-judicial foreclosure allow the trustee. No, that's not how that goes. In non-judicial foreclosure, they use a clause in the contract, to come after you if you go into default. They use a clause in the contract to start the whole process. Yep. And there's no trustee. It's not a trustee. It's a third-party debt collector. And by the time the third-party debt collector is involved, your alleged debt has already been charged off. They did a corporate charge off. The lender did. They do a charge off. They claim it on the taxes, write it off the insurance. Plus, they get to keep all the money they got from your happy asses. And then they send it over to the debt collectors to come after you to help them on the back end and get you off of their property because you don't have a title to anything. And someone mentioned that tax sale property was listed for rent.